Creation of a system for handling mercury-containing elements. Our today's event is a panel discussion for creating the system of handling mercury-containing wastes and implementation of new technology of registering of the hazardous wastes in the Republic of Tatarstan. Until recently, this topic wasn't having enough attention that it was deserving. So after the reforms in handling the solid wastes, we also had the reform in this sector, and the necessity of having these hazardous materials as a separate reformed system in handling the wastes is obvious for us. And primarily we understand this, that these materials, these wastes of the first and second class of hazard is very dangerous for the ecological systems. The impact of these systems is characterized by these irreversible changes and irreversible impacts on the ecological conditions for a long time, for at least 30 years. So this system becomes damaged even when you prevent, when you eliminate the source of the danger. They are very toxic. The elements they contact are part of it are very toxic. This persistence, they become more and more toxic. They migrate in food chains, and they gain cumulative effect. So the water content from the first degree or first hazardous class is around 10,000. For the second hazardous class is from 10,000 till 1,000. These wastes are extremely toxic and dangerous. Recently, one of the world development trend is a circular economy, or in other words, cycled economy. So the implementation of its principles, when we are talking about the first and the second hazardous class, how we need to utilize this and recycle them without just burning them or burying them. Mercury-containing elements, we are not allowed to bury them anymore starting from 2018. For the batteries and accumulators, the same will become an effect of 2021. So we need a new system to handle the waste of the first and the second class of hazard. So some characteristics are similar to the ones of the solid waste management. And we have the same agreements with the waste producers based on the special tariff and contracts and the federal legislation. The time given for our event is 1 hour. So let me introduce the participants of our panel discussion. The representative of the Federal Unitary and Organization Lapina Larisa, the Director of the Development Department and External Relations of Kazan Power Engineering University, Emil Shamsuddinov, the Deputy Minister of Industry and Trade of the Republic of Tatarstan, Ilya Shulgin, the head of the Department of Handling the Waste and the Construction of the Republic of Tatarstan, Diana Krasnova, Deputy Director of the Development of Kazan branch of Kazan. Oh, sorry, we have another one. The head of the processing of radioactive waste and implementation of new technologies in the branch of the Volga region state. Director General of Korib Group, Oleg Koropchenko, and the Director of Volga region, Olga Gudimova. The floor is given to the main speaker, the representative of the Federal Unitary Organized Ecological Operator.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I'm very glad to meet all of you here and to take part in panel discussion about creating a new system of waste treatment of the first and second class. Thank you that you dwelled in detail that this system, fact that this system exists, and all participants work in not exactly well-organized way, and in my presentation I would like to speak in detail about organization of the system, about laws and regulations which we have now, and on implementation of the pilot project which is being implemented now in the Republic of Tatarstan. And that is why I would like to ask you to switch on my presentation so that we can go through main stages of creating a new system of the waste treatment of first and second class. So what we have now in current situation, the existing system of waste treatment is built in a way that the waste generators, they have contracts with the transportation companies which have licenses for collecting and transportation of this waste. After these collected wastes can be shipped to the further treatment in organization which has equipment and capacity to treat this waste or recycle this waste. And if you follow all this chain, it is not exactly perfect. We understand that there are wastes. We understand what happened with this waste, but later on this waste can either be moved from one organization to the other, and finally this this scheme is of treatment is not perfect, and it has it was taken as a initial scheme of how to develop perfect scheme. So we have a new federal project, infrastructure, for the treatment of the waste of the first and second stage of hazardness, and it was implemented on 24th of December 2018. And the main aim of this federal project is to define to assign the federal operator for the treatment of this waste, and second is implementation of the federal scheme of the treatment of this waste, and development of the information resource, state information system for processing of this waste. And of course, it is we're talking about the implementation of infrastructural projects for the treatment of this waste. So what we're talking about, the federal operator nowadays exists, and this is the Federal Ecological Operator, as we call it, and I represent this organization. As for the federal scheme of the waste treatment, it is being developed, and this the database is compiled of the original sources. As for the state information system, it is being developed too. Now we have already passed through the second and third stage, and nowadays we are very close to preliminary testing of this system, and then we'll start using the pilot prototype of it. So that's the way how this system be organized. Of course, we have necessary laws and regulations. It is the 250 federal law, which has all amendments from the previous law about waste treatment, and we know that there is Article 14 which regulates the relationship, the treatment of this kind of waste. And we have definition of the federal operator and operator of the waste treatment of the first and second class. We have information in this law about the federal information system, and also there is in this document we have a plan for the further development, and we have some other regulations. So this the Article 1305 about the federal legislation, and the decree of the government 1346, which explains the details about the information provision and information supply to the federal database. I would recommend all of you, all the participants which are involved in this system, first of all, to log in the FGUP website, because we have a special section which we call Federal Scheme, which explains in detail this waste treatment, and we have accumulated all necessary legal information, which is will be very useful for all participants of all this process in order to understand how this system is going to be organized from 2022. And the same article you can see you can watch our first webinars, which explain how this system functions and how to use it. We have presentations there, we have videos there. You can get all necessary information from one site. And so how are we going to use this system? So how we will be organized? Federal operator from 2022 will sign contracts with the waste producing company and legal entities which deal with this kind of waste. And after this contract, when this contract is signed, they will sign contract with the waste operators, as we call them, the transportation companies and companies which have capacities to treat this waste. And the federal ecological operator by 2023 will have their own infrastructure, special installations, and we stipulated in a federal laws and regulations. And in the federal project, we have to build 4 facilities, and by 2024 3 more facilities, ecological technoparks, where we are going to recycle waste and extracting the useful ingredients back to economy. Let's stop on, dwell on and talk about information resource which we are organizing now to help to supply necessary information for the waste treatment. This is the government system, the state-owned system, and let me just stress again. This is the registration and monitoring because this is what we need in order to quickly build up this open and transparent system of interaction among all the stakeholders. This information system, Federal Law 29 has an article there, 14.3. You can read everything about it, and we plan to start this system next year, and this information system is being developed. As I told, the main basic principles of the work on this system is it is free of charge if you want this information, and you can upload this information only once, and all suppliers of information will be responsible for the information then supplied, then uploaded. And of course, the suppliers of the information are responsible for the reliability of this information, and they have to observe certain deadlines. It is information, the deadlines, the technology of uploading this information. You can all learn it from this Law 1346. What else you have to know? Why the system is so interesting? In real time, we'll have realistic information about all wastes, about all operators who treat this waste. We will have understanding about the capacities of the recycling facilities, and we also can see that we will have contracts with all participants. We will have the scheme of waste trafficking, and we will control and monitor the movement of all wastes, and of course all necessary reports and feedbacks will also be generated in the shortest possible time, which help to understand what's going on with the waste, and how much waste has been treated, and what are the results of this kind of work. And we'll get these reports annually. So this system has a lot of positions, a lot of points, and this information will be very useful for all interested parties, for the local authorities, for the companies which produce this waste, for all who would like to understand how this system works. But the most important, we will understand what happens with the waste from when they move from point A to point B. All this chain will be transparent, easy to understand, under control, and clear to understand on its every stage. What we have now, so the government information system, state information system, now is testing separate parts of it, and we have sent already to all subjects of federation official notification, official letter that from since 1st of September we'll start testing of this system. And here is our banner on our official site, and you see that you can go through, get to this resource and get all information which I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation. And there is a button there, GIS OPVK, since 1st of September. It has become active, and all waste operators can get into this website where they can test their system. They can get registered. They can open their account and upload the data about their organization. Let's talk in detail about who are the information suppliers into this information system, and who will have their open access to this database from the 1st of December in order to get through testing period. Well, first of all, there's individual entrepreneurs and legal entities which generate waste of this first and second category. Then the federal waste and treatment and the recyclers, regional operators who treat solid waste. In order to get into the system and get access and register, have an account, you have to go through certain requirements which we have there. So you have to have necessary hardware which can provide you with electronic signature, and also you have to have fortified, qualified electronic signature, and the registration goes through the unified system of the authentication and verification system through ECM system. All necessary documents and all necessary instructions, all videos. We have 4 instructional videos which explains the registration in the system, registering the account, the data, introduction, everything, all of it will be on the front page. So it is quite convenient. You can get there, get yourself registered and test it. Of course, we'll be very thankful for the feedback. For us, it is of paramount importance. So if it was difficult, if you have any problems, is it convenient for the users, user-friendly? What can be made better? Please feedback about it. Is interface system good? Of course, we are ready and expect to get your feedback, and we'll be very thankful if you provide testing feedback. What else? Nowadays, Federal Ecological Operator has signed agreements with several regions for cooperation and in terms of safe treatment of the waste of the first and second category. And we signed first this kind of agreement with the Republic of Tatarstan, and the Republic of Tatarstan has always been in the front line, and it has always been one of the first one in terms of improving and upgrading all these kind of systems. And nowadays the Ecology Minister and Nature Protection Minister in the Republic of Tatarstan, they are our colleagues from Tatarstan, and we signed a treatment agreement, a special agreement. We have a roadmap of implementation of the pilot projects for the waste treatment of the first and second hazard class category, and we have conducted a lot of events, and we've done a lot in terms of analyzing this information. In the Republic of Tatarstan, we have all necessary facilities for treatment solid waste and of these categories. And in this agreement, we invite the Republic of Tatarstan to take part in this pilot project. We will go through every step of this process of our relations, and we'll try to go through every possible situation. We'll talk with the transportation companies, with the and we will see how all this chain works, how the database is compiled, how agreements are signed, and of course it is again pilot project, and for us it is very important when in this kind of a pilot project we get certain results in order to scale these results and this experience in other regions. So the Federal Ecological Operator through the state information system will get all necessary information about all waste generating companies, and we invite all of these kind of companies to get registered in our system, well, for testing purposes. Since 1st of September, it is possible, and have the accounts. Then the federal operator will be ready to get their test applications to participate in this system. Then these local operators will be, transportation companies will be defined and assigned, and so that we know what happened with the waste and how they would be treated further here in Kazan.
In this chart, you can see that the work, the further work, starting from 2022. All the participants have to be registered. They have to have an account, fill in all the information, all the data about the waste, including the operators who are handling and transport the waste. They have to be registered, they have to fill in the data. The applications will be considered with the consideration of the volume. So starting from 2022, you can do this work in online time. We will also consider the offers from the logistic companies, then the signed agreement with the producers of waste. And right now we have already confirmed a standard form. There is a standard contract form on our website. You can have a look. So according to this agreement, the transit of waste will be done towards the federal operator, and then we will utilize the waste. So we will trace all the chain. So we'll have all the relevant data on all the lifespan of the waste, and to establish a certain registry and the report system. So in order for this product to become real, we need to make preliminary steps. We have to consider the pilot's project. All the participants of this process have to be involved, starting from the waste producers, mercury-containing lamps, for instance, the logistic companies, and these relationships have to be traced. Once again, I would like to focus on the federal ecological operator. It has created a special tab on the website, gathering all the important information for the primary introduction of all the legislative data, methodological data. In this system, aimed for the testing of the system, you can create your account. It will be available from the 1st of September, so you can get acquainted with the system, how you can fill in the data. So we do hope that our pilot project in the Republic of Tatarstan will be very efficient, successful, will have positive results, and this system will be a certain, will be a sort of a lighthouse for the others. With this, I would like to thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, I'm ready to answer them. Larisa Albertovna, thank you very much for a very detailed report. From the point of view of the Ministry of Ecology I represent, I would like to inform you that our ministry has already prepared the application to all the market players who are dealing with the first and second class of hazard of waste in order to be active participants of this system. The next speaker is Emil Vasilyevich Shamsuddinov, the concept of circular economy. Emil Vasilyevich represents Power Engineering University. Good afternoon, colleagues. Can I start? So, circular economy and handling of waste of the first and second class of hazard. Circular economy is not just economy about itself. It just encompasses absolutely every area. The economy of industry, we cannot just separate it as an individual field. It's just the change of the concept starting from transit from the linear economy towards the economy of the circular economy, when the waste from one industry can become the raw material for the other. How we can just, say this in Russian, what is the term? This is the term with the minimal application of the primary resources and the minimal emissions. Maybe it's not quite feasible. I mean, we cannot realize absolutely everything of it, but we can reduce of the primary usage of the primary raw materials, reduce the emissions, the reuse of the raw materials, and recycling. Those of us who lived through the era of the USSR, we saw this, we understand this easily. But right now, we are regarding this from the standpoint of sustainable development, and we meet the requirements of sustainable development. For the first time, I faced this issue last year when the representative of the Finnish Foundation representative was here. When he was here giving the workshop at our base, at our premises in the university. Then it was followed by the visit of Tatarstan delegation headed by Rustam Minikhanov, the president of Tatarstan, at the International Forum of Circular Economy, took place last year in Helsinki. Right now, over 90 different countries are involved. Europe, at the legislative level, has already started this work, and they have developed a series of legislative documentation, regulative documentation. And the principles of circular economy is not only at the industrial level, but it's also implemented at the public level. At some place, it may be a repressive method using fines, and in others it's incentives. However, all the world is moving towards circular economy. The target is to reduce the emissions. Ecology is our primary focus. However, there is another target, is the reduction of the primary resource usage. These are two interconnected issues. So what are we leaving behind us? What do we give to the next generations who live after us? We are very concerned about this. So all the world works towards correcting these issues. As far as Tatarstan is concerned, I think we are the pioneers. We are one of the first subjects of the Russian Federation who are dealing with this issue at the governmental level. So we have established the foundation, the Center of the Circular Economy. It's Tatar and Finnish Center of Circular Economy. It's quite clear why Finland is involved, because they were the engines, they were the drivers who were sharing their experience in this direction. So the target, one of the targets of the center, is to establish the correct environment, to create the projects of legislative acts and legislative documentation to establish professional competences in circular economy, starting from enlightenment, starting from education, and implementation of this into curricula. School is too late. We can start with the kindergarten even. Sometimes kids can really be supportive on this. It's quite natural that we can't deal without science. Science supports all the research and development projects. We do need this for Tatarstan, and we know that Tatarstan is oil, gas, petrochemical industry. And the second thing is, to my mind, is the agriculture, since we are a huge agricultural country, and I think we can do a lot in this. Our integral part of work is attracting investment into different projects. We work closely with the investment agency. Any serious project is a serious technological project, requires an investment. Without investment, we won't have the correct understanding at the state level, involving private capitals, etc. So these are the targets we are working on. Emil Vasilovich, coming back to the subject of today's panel discussion, can your center provide any feasible support in the reform of handling our hazardous wastes? In my opinion, there is a direct connection here, even though we are not called as ecological center, but you understand that the less emissions we get, the less will be the load on the environment. So this informational system of handling the hazardous waste can be just continued, not only for the first and the second class of hazard, but how it affects other classes of wastes. In order to correctly react, what kind of task do we have? Most plants, factories, they do not know what waste could be raw materials for them. So if we don't establish any federal system, to provide the information for any customer, for any factory, that you can receive the raw material for industry right here without going to Mozambique, for instance, that you can use in your technological process, it will be a great progress for us. Yeah, it's an industrial symbiosis, as we can call it, industrial chain. Thank you. The floor is given now to the director of Volga region company, Olga Gudimova, one of the biggest operators handling industrial waste in the Republic of Tatarstan. So we would like to get your information about working with your counteragents and just your view on the situation in general. Thank you. Good afternoon, dear participants. A few words about our company. Our company works in the market, or has been working for 22 years already. And all these years, we've been dealing with all the classes of wastes. Just to give you a couple of figures, per year, we receive around 170 tons of hazardous waste. We are not the only operators. We operate in Kazan and Nabережные Челны. Around 170 tons of first and second class of hazard, 121 tons of which is mercury-containing waste. Being on the market for 21 years, during all these years, we have processed around 3.5 thousand of hazardous waste, 2.2 thousands of which is mercury-containing waste. Throughout our activity, we are dealing quite a lot in the area of enlightenment, education, and in some years, we covered around 100 schools and the necessity in the educational component in the work with the waste and handling waste. We do see it from all around. We carry out different workshops, different enlightenment events in order to popularize, to promote handling of waste, to raise the awareness of among children, to be able to understand what kind of classes of waste exist, and to understand the difficulty of all this process. We have already gathered a huge volume of experience, and we are supporting and promoting these materials, sharing it with all the interested ones. We also realize that the field of handling hazardous waste is very relevant today, and it's even more relevant than working with the just regular waste. Since these hazardous wastes are extremely, extremely dangerous and toxic, so we are among the first ones, among the pioneers who are testing the system. And from the name, on behalf of Tatarstan, we already became part of the system, and with all this volume, we are really interested in having the system working and receiving the first results. Why are we interested in this, and why are we striving to having the system working? It's not a secret that we have really good operators that we are very honored, and I think our company is among those operators. We comply with all the legislation, we comply with all the requirements in handling the waste. However, there are companies that appear annually in the market getting licenses for handling hazardous waste, and then we cannot trace them. What do they do in the market? They set low prices in the market, destabilizing the market, and without giving the opportunity for the good operators to work according to the correct scheme. So we cannot trace further the hazardous waste. Hopefully we won't find them in the nearest sewage, for instance, even though it may happen. Sometimes we can trace them in the solid waste, and we are very interested for this system to start working, to be traceable, to be transparent. So every user having an agreement with us as an operator can make sure that their waste will be deactivated or used for other applications. Another issue is a burning issue over the recent months. The epidemiological awareness is quite high now, and we have a large segment who use different mercury-containing devices, quartz lamps or mercury-containing lamps, thermometers, etc., but they don't have any understanding what to do with them if they are damaged. So there is a huge palette of cooperation here. The internet provides us a lot of information how to handle the waste. Some of them, use insulation packages. Some of them just use as sponges to collect these balls of mercury. So it's kind of a surprise for some people that we charge a certain amount of money for utilizing the thermometer. Some people are kind of dismayed at this. They think they do a good thing. They dispose the thermometer correctly, but they are charged for this. So many people are kind of disappointed about this, so they just leave their thermometers at the parlor, and then they move away in order not to pay the money for it. So it's important that a federal operator when implementing the system, will pay more attention to work with physical entities, since they know how to work in utilizing hazardous waste. We have a little work done in, among population. So particularly in our time when the number of hazardous waste has grown, we need to pay closer attention to informing population what to do with the hazardous waste, and to think not only at the level of company, but also at the level of the Republican authorities, federal authorities, to consider the collection system of these devices, mercury-containing devices, and other hazardous wastes. In conclusion, I would like to say that we are ready to join the testing system. So if the users who are receiving this information that they are part of this system, if they are registered, we will support them from our part. And hopefully in the nearest time we'll have the work done in such a way that every participant will have everything done in an easy way. I fully support your words. I would like to confirm that the most social tension is the existing practice with the hazardous wastes.
Especially with those wastes which we have at a solid domestic weight. And later on we'll come back to this topic when we listen to a presentation of the representative of the construction, Minister of Construction. So my question to Olga is that, well, you have huge experience. So what do you think should be done so that the waste treatment not stop? So because we have problems with the solid municipal waste, because sometimes companies which generate these wastes are not that much enthusiastic to sign contracts with the recycling companies. So what do you think should be done so that these companies be involved in this and sign contracts with the federal operator? Thank you. Yes, I do have a qualified opinion. Yes. There always been and will be companies which are socially responsible, especially when it comes to waste treatment. And these companies have no problem with registration in the system, working with the system, because nowadays we have quite a lot of different kind of reports and programs in which ecologists, they can work, they got used to it, and it's okay for us. But as for the small companies with irresponsible companies, nothing new. It's this is the way to use the stick and carrot method. If you don't want to take part in this system, well, either system will force you to cooperate, or if you really want to do it quick, you have to have some other ways to convince, but you have to understand that the system must be convenient and easy to understand, because if it's a big company and they have full-time working ecologist specialists, it's easy. But small companies, it's done by the accountant, and the accountant has problems to understand of this waste treatment, how to do it, how to put it different categories. The more easy to use the system, the quicker the number of interested parties will increase, and the more understanding we'll get. The floor is given to General Director of the Korib Group, Oleg Korobchenko. They'll talk about his plan of developing facilities, the company which recycles car batteries, and how they work together with the federal operator. Good afternoon again. I'm from Korib Company. We've been on the market for 16 years. We are one of the biggest dealers with KAMAZ. and we have quite big chain in our country, in other countries. We have service center, we service equipment. We have a car battery plant. It's a quite new plant, and we produce 1.5 million batteries a year. So far as we are the transportation companies, and we are producing company, and in terms of circular economy, we did not have the unit which collect all the batteries and recycle them, so and solve ecological problems. So in 2012 we started building a car recycling company, and nowadays we have several lines which recycle tires, wood, and we are finishing already plant for car battery recycling. We are already on the stage of getting license, and in Tatarstan we have about 1.5 million cars and trucks, and car owners change about 500,000 batteries every year, which is about 10,000 tons of batteries. Nowadays we collect all these batteries here, and we take it away from Republic to Moscow or Yekaterinburg. How? It's just, I can't explain it to you, because nowadays car battery falls into the different categories. Some people say that this is the waste. Sometimes they are resold as the used battery on the market of the used battery. Sometimes they say it's just a scrap material, and every time you have special documents. If it is a category of used batteries, no documents at all. And so at every time different businesses try to cover up what they do using different schemes. A lot of negative sides, bad sides. So the market of battery collections, there are no companies which would take into account the ecological issues. A lot of them are illegal businesses. There's sometimes immigrants, they do it, illegal immigrants. And of course the economic impact is huge. The lead as a metal market is it's a gray market, a lot of problems there. Nowadays we've developed the scheme of collection car batteries with the participation of the state, participation of the battery producers, the retail companies, and retail companies collect these used batteries. And we also invited the recycling companies. All necessary laws and regulations are taken into account in our model, which doesn't allow any harmful emissions into the environment. A lot of companies which resell, rebuy these used batteries and continue using them. We have success drivers, and here, as you see, well, when we build a chain of this kind of facilities with all necessary ecological precautions, and this scheme we will have joint work of car battery producers and car batteries users work together, and will provide a transparency of this kind of business, able to be controlled and monitored. Nowadays in Tatarstan we started our collecting points. So in Nizhnekamsk we installed several of these collecting points. It is based on the existing network, existing chain of our dealers. Why dealers? Because 70%, even more, of car battery turnover is done by individuals, when just drivers give back batteries and buy new ones. And big companies like PEC and some other companies, but basically it is done by dealers. And using existing dealers' chain, we organize this collecting points, collecting outlets. We have a lot of these plants in Russia. We have in Yelabuga, in Nabizhny Chelty, we have two parts of this plant for recycling of 20,000 batteries, used batteries a year. It's about 10,000 tons of high-grade lead on our Yelabuga plant, battery plant. What are our proposals? As I said, that we have big problem, that sometimes we have three components. We have waste, we have used batteries, and scrap metal. And we have to have clear legislation about it, to unify it, and put car batteries into just one category, waste, so that it cannot be put into any other category. It should be considered just as waste, and that's all. And our proposal to Minister of Economy and Minister of Trade is to organize a pilot project for collecting and recycling car batteries. The Ministry of Economy should consider the possibility of auditing and checking all markets and collecting points to check their licenses and permissions, to have a register or list of these companies which are involved in collecting used car batteries. Well, basically, that's exactly what my colleague Larissa proposed. And third, the Minister of Industry and Trade of our Republic, we would like them to help us to build this recycling plant in our Republic, so that waste, our scrap metal, lead, stay here in our Republic and be used. Thank you, Oleg, very much for your presentation. Yes, we have some inconsistencies in our legislation about treatment of car batteries. So the officials are informed about it to avoid this kind of misunderstanding. And I believe that we will change this situation. And we would like to have your company around. And we would like you to find your niche in the market of recycling used car batteries. Thank you very much. Don't forget about us, please. We are ready for any changes, and we work intensively together with the Minister of Ecology. If you don't forget about us, we always be around. Well, so we don't have a lot of time. We will give floor to the head of Department of Recycling, Radioactive Waste, and Implementation of New Technologies, the PhD in chemistry. Would you please brief us about what mercury-containing recycling facility are you building? Dear colleagues, thank you for giving me this possibility. Let me remind you that nowadays in the Republic of Tatarstan we implement pilot project for utilization of the mercury-containing waste based on Kazan Federal ecological operator, and we started a mobile installation of mercury extracting technology, and we can utilize about 200,000 lamps a year. We have all necessary infrastructure to do that, and I can say that the using technology of the vacuum thermo treating of mercury and treating the mercury vapor, it is ecologically safe and quite efficient. I have to say, on the 27th of July this year, we got a license to collect transportation, utilization, and distribution of the waste of this category. And we already start working on this installation and the pilot facility here in Kazan. We has capacity about 1,500 lamps a day. Any types of lamps and high pressure lamps as well, and we utilize these lamps in the Republic of Tatarstan. The pilot installation is in Kazan and the Skladskaya Street, so we took care of all requirements, ecological requirements, so it is completely safe. So we are ready, we are open for cooperation. We have contract, we have already developed pricing policy, so we are ready to continue. Floor is given to the head of the waste treatment of the Department of Industry. The representatives will tell us about their plans, about the problems which they have in treatment of solid waste, and the problems with which utility companies have sometimes. We see that we have accumulation of solid waste and the evacuation of removal of the solid waste. In our republic, we have two regional operators in eastern and western sectors of Kazan who load up solid waste into the waste trucks, and very often we see the first and second class waste, which are hazardous waste, and we need to extract this kind of dangerous waste. So that is why we have a special regiment how to deal with it, and in it we have our infrastructure, how we treat it. So we plan to have special points of treatment and recycling it according to our plans. Well, 100% of solid waste will go to these kind of points, and we plan to extract the first and second hazard category waste, and then our regional operators will have to sign contracts with the federal operator, and this is how we see it. But it's not enough. It cannot be done only by the regional operators. Republic will move on, and in 2017, Republican budget gave financial support to buy the special containers for this kind of waste, and these containers are in Kazan and in Nabezhnye Chelny. We have to provide, we have to organize the collecting point. It's in Kazan and some other place, so that people can go and get rid of this waste. And what collecting points? So we work together with the consumers, with the regional operators. We have some problems. We have some companies which don't want to sign contracts with the regional or reluctant to sign these contracts. But 94% of contracts have been signed already, which is quite satisfactory result. But a lot of things can be done better. The floor is given to the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Industry, Ilya Shulgin. So what is the Minister of Trade take on this? So to what extent Ministry can help to Federal Ecological Operator in terms of treatment within this campaign? So how can you help?
Dear colleagues, the subject we are talking about is global. So we've been discussing the issues of utilizing the waste of the first and second class of hazard as part of circular economy. So all of this is an integral part of the global issue we are considering. So our position of the ministry, we have already negotiated and improved the program of all the educative events on circular economy, in popularizing the ideas, in defining what is part of circular economy and in which way it influences the events that have already been taking place, utilizing transportation, storage of these hazardous wastes. So this work we've been carrying out has successful results, and together with the representative of the Power Engineering University, Igor Vasilovich, we can confirm this, that we have the work of the Oil and Gas Forum on the 2nd of September. We'll be discussing the circular economy issues, and I think we can discuss this as part of the forum. So having heard your requirements or wishes to support you on these questions, something we discussed today in the view of hazardous waste, it's not the only issue. There is also the issue with utilizing the batteries, and we have a number of problems that we are not discussing currently. So it's a multifaceted problem. We are living in a very interesting time. It's a threshold. Something Olga was mentioning today. We have a huge demand in the society for discussing these ecological issues. So there are a lot of questions inquiries from the public, people just don't understand what is happening. So the Ministry of Industry and Trade, as part of the educational program, the Ministry of Construction that works with the operators, we are popularizing and informing public in the accessible way. It's accessible for any profile. So for people to understand what we are doing to preserve our environment and the health of the population, we need to inform people about the measures we are taking. The physical entities and the enterprises, sometimes they are trying to avoid the initiatives that are prescribed to them to do. So in compliance with the legislation, unwilling to pay for disposing of the thermometers, for instance, other devices. But we need to pay for the clean environment. Both the physical bodies and the companies, we need to pay for it. Currently, the world practice shows us that the waste we have gathered, it's a huge problem for the environment. At the same time, it's a huge opportunity as a secondary raw material. So this is exactly the issue that we are going to talk about in the circular economy day. So having the unified concept on the further treatment and handling of hazardous waste is the topic of our further meetings. So the position of our ministry is transparent. We are quite involved. So speaking about the applied measures that we have taken, we can discuss your initiatives at the Gas and Ecological Forum, since the company of Carib with their presentation is one of the examples of socially responsible businesses that doesn't only realize the problem within the company, but also puts it on the discussion that leads to the appearance of the legislative base for all those companies, all those involved in waste management. So we should support these initiatives. There are not so many enterprises like this. We are willing to cooperate. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you as well. All our speakers we've planned, they have provided their speeches, so I suggest we should just end up with the couple of remarks. I would provide the floor to Larisa, our main speaker, who will summarize our panel discussion. It's been a very interesting panel. I've written down a lot of things to work on them, to report on them to our authorities. Making this system or establishing this system in Russia and as we are talking, this is the governmental, the state target. So solving this target is only possible if we unite our forces. If all the participants of the process that are involved in this sector, in this system, in handling the hazardous wastes, if they are responsible to all the process, about all the processes on their way, we will obviously have good and transparent system in Russia. So this first pilot project in Tatarstan that we are going to have and to work on all the chain, it's a complex project. However, I'm quite sure that the qualification, the experience of the staff, of the experts, and this tight collaboration with all the participants will enable us for having this first step made and having this system working. I'm sure from 2022, this system will be refined based on our mutual huge work done in enhancing and creation of this system. So I do hope for the close cooperation, and we are very happy that we're going to test quite a lot of them, of this system. Let's see how it works, and we are ready to listen to all your remarks, to all your offers, and consider them at the development level. And we are ready with all our Republic, with all the participants of the project, to go further and develop further this system, to enhance it and to develop a good system of handling hazardous wastes. So I would like to thank all the participants of our panel, the moderators, for providing us the opportunities to have a talk. To listen to very interesting reports. So we do hope for further collaborative work. It's mutual. Thank you.